Man, you got some dance moves, so let's give in a chair, no less.
Yeah, I do.
You're amazing. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Upsiders. Woo! They also call us your time traveler's guide to the present. But either way you flip it, we're here to focus on solutions and show you the bright side, highlight some of the people, organizations, groups who are just doing wonderful things in the world.
Come on.
And yeah, just making the world better than we found it. So
Yeah.
I'm one of your hosts, Los, aka the artist formerly known as Los Stevens, aka
Mm.
birth name is Carlos, but we don't use that here. And as always, I'm joined by.
Community-based Bertram.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
that's
Just
right.
trying to make his neighborhood a better place, baby.
That's right. And so, if you've listened to us before, please remember to share the podcast with your friends, family, loved
Yeah.
ones, even your worst enemies. And if you're new here, stick around. Hopefully, you enjoy, and hopefully, you'll spread the love too. And be sure to subscribe or follow us on your favorite podcasting app.
Yeah. Share us on LinkedIn. Give it a repost. I don't
That's
know.
right. And yeah, you'll know when our next episode comes up. But yeah, today we are diving in on a movement. Um, what is it called? Degrowth. Degrowth.
Yeah.
Bertram. What the heck
Yes.
is that?
Los, I was a little disappointed because I did a lot of research into the degrowth movement, and
Yeah.
I went to degrowth.org. And I don't know if we need to focus on it the whole episode, just this movement itself, but it's certainly worth talking about, at least with you. So the degrowth movement is not necessarily about scarcity, but about intentional consumption and valuing experiences over possessions, and how this leads to less stress, more time, and greater fulfillment. So I guess I would like to start with a conversation for you. So I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Um, from your perspective, what are some of the non-material things that we might gain or rediscover if we shifted our focus away from endless economic growth? Do you agree that the way the world is going right now, we are focused on endless economic growth?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah, yeah, that'd be my short answer to your question. Did you want me to elaborate?
Yeah. So what might we rediscover or gain if we shifted our focus away from endless economic growth?
I think time, passion, community, uh, perspective,
Hmm.
sense of well-being.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's socialist of you, Los. You're such a socialist.
I've never heard that about me before. They usually call me free market Los, but I can say because for those of us in the dark here, we live in a growth-based economy, which means very simply that the expectation of the way the markets work and just the overall economy is that things should be better or things should be more productive now than they were last quarter, last year, and the year before that.
Yeah.
We should always be going up, 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 producing more, more, more. Because if you're a company, that means you're growing, right? So that's
Yeah.
where growth comes from. With growth comes more revenue, which means you get to create more jobs.
Sure.
And with those more jobs, people are able to buy more stuff, which ends up in this circle
Yeah.
where, yeah,
And
that's
it
where we're
seems
at.
to be, I think, at the heart of the degrowth movement, that's where the issue lies, is that there seems to be a disconnect today between economic output and growth, and when countries are saying, hey, we're more successful now, our GDP has grown, all these things, and you know the community's well-being, right, is there seems to be a disconnect there, where those two things, there's not a correlation as much as there used to be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so just this idea that maybe those two things are not one and the same, and there's a phrase that gets used during my research into this episode about decoupling, is how do we, how do we take apart that idea of we must always be rising economically because that means that our life is getting better, and that's not the same thing. There was a lot of skepticism that I read about degrowth. There's a great article I put in from Vox where they talked about a lot of great things about this movement, but then they talked about just some of the impossibilities of it, right? Is that it's going to take a lot of work to how do you change the mindset of people to say, let's regress economically and maybe focus more on, sustainability and making sure that necessities are taken care of. And there's a really read that article. There's a lot of good material in there. But just thinking about how do we make sure that people are well off, that should probably be our most important thing that we should strive for.
Yeah. And so I guess maybe to not push back, but to look at another side of things. How are people negatively affected by growth? Because my
Mm,
description of it was make more, produce more, which means more money, which goes into the hands of more people in
yeah.
theory, right? So where does that go wrong?
Well, I think people naturally get left behind, right? Right.
Mhm.
We're filming this an hour and 15 minutes after we were supposed to start our episode because Los and I get lost in these long conversations, usually about the topic where, this is the upsiders. So our pre-production meeting is basically the downsiders, right? We got to get it all out of our system before we look at the upside. And so we were talking about homelessness and poverty and things. You got a municipal internet and city run grocery stores and all these things. And what naturally happens, those the ever loving capitalist, capitalism leaves people behind. And regardless of how you feel at that, man, however you lean politically, if you're like, we must always move forward because that's what's best, and the people who get left behind, that's a casualty. Like, I work with those people all the time. That's your that's your political belief. I understand why you want to go with that. I'm of the mindset that, hey, we got to make sure that we take care of these people. And so for me, I think when you talk about endless economic growth, naturally more, and it seems like more and more people are being left behind now, especially based on all our tax cuts and the big beautiful bill that just came out and all these things. Like,
Mhm.
we can't be leaving 90% of people behind, Los. That's
Yeah.
way too many.
Well, this is a very wild analogy, so forgive me if this is a little off base or too out there. But we've watched Toy Story before, right?
Yeah, come on.
And we've all been children before, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of us used to get a lot of toys, right?
Yeah, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, and I always have fond memories of they weren't fun at the time, but whenever I had to clean my room, I had to go through my big toy box, right? And
Oh no.
I always had to because I would just used to throw stuff in there, and so my mom would be like, "Take that out, throw it in the
Yeah, yeah,
laundry, blah blah
yeah.
blah." And I vividly remember because I'd spend way too long than I should have. But I'd take all these toys out of the toy box and I'd be like, oh man, I remember when I used to play with this. I remember when I used to play with this. Meanwhile, there were, not in my toy box, the actual stuff that I play
Yeah.
with, or maybe later on it was my video games, right? The PlayStations and stuff out there. But you forget of like the stuff that you used to use, the stuff that you used to
Mm.
like, right? So if we think of like coal mining, factory workers, those were the toys that we had way back when, right?
Well, hey now.
And
Uh-oh.
yeah, to be fair, right?
I
And you
just
think
lost
of,
my power. That's why the
oh,
lights went out. I just lost power.
uh-oh.
No, we're fine. Keep going.
And you
As
think
long as you
of,
can still hear me.
yeah, and you think of the toys, remember in Toy Story, like that were in the boxes and stuff, and uh what's that? Is it the penguin who had the cough? Right? Because it was just it had like that wheezy cough. Was that a penguin? I can't remember. But yeah, there were all those
I don't
toys
remember.
that weren't played around as much anymore, that were always left behind with Woody at the beginning. He was the most used toy and
Hmm.
Buzz Lightyear. But then eventually Andy goes to college and leaves all those toys behind. And there's always
Yeah.
this priority for more things, right? So right now, yeah, tech is the big tech is the big toy.
Power came back on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Tech is the big thing, it's a shiny new toy. But one day, AI or Google or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
they'll become the old toy, right? And so
Oh.
capitalism is about same thing. It's like accumulating all these toys, right?
Yeah.
But over time, they fall out of favor because they're no longer your priority. They don't come with the big shiny accessories. They don't have the new features anymore. So they just take a back seat. But those toys still have value, right? So
Come on.
how do you still show value to them? Maybe the answer degrowth argues is to slow down the
Man,
accumulation of these new toys. Stop getting so many new toys and enjoy the ones that you do have.
you hit on so many things that I was thinking about. Then I'm impressed. Um, wow. Uh, and I think there needs to be a fine line between how are people viewed as resources, right? And then toys and corporations. And it's I think we need to draw a line, especially in a corporation based society like we are now,
Yeah.
where it's totally fine for us to not need McDonald's anymore. That could be a toy that we're like, hey, we're ready for this toy to go away. We shouldn't keep, and that's the rule of capitalism, right? Is that if toys are no longer being used, they should go away. We shouldn't support, old toys in favor. Maybe we want to play with the new toys, right? And so that's what I love about capitalism is that it seems very fair, right?
Yeah.
We need to make sure that people are not treated as resources in those, and that they're well, you had this skill, but now society has pivoted away from that skill. How do we make sure that we support people to learn new skills and things like that? I think that's a very important talking piece in all of this. But it sounds like one of the things that you're really hitting on is another idea of our episode is not just degrowth, but there is this idea of conscious consumption. And it's funny that you brought up the spring cleaning and cleaning up your toy box, because while I was looking up conscious consumption, I did find a link to our good friend Mary Kondo, who we talked about in previous podcasts. She does that show Tidying Up, where she holds things and she talks about like, hey, if you're trying to get rid of things in your house, you hold it. You really take some time to be empathetic and mindful, and you say, does this still bring me joy? And if the answer is no, you try and get rid of it. And that's something we all have experience with toys, right? It's like, does this still bring you joy? Will it still bring you joy in the future? If it doesn't, you need to get rid of it. Forbes has a link in the show notes where they talk about how companies can embrace conscious consumption, and there is some questions that they can ask. For example, is what you have in line with people's values? I think about like, um, is there something that you just had that you had to throw away, Lowe's? Is there something you got rid of?
That I had to throw away.
Is there something you recently got rid of?
I get rid of stuff all the time. Not
Oh
and
man.
my partner
I
took
guess
yeah.
I'll
Uh,
give you an example. All
yeah.
right. I got my, oh man, it's all over the place. I got this little gift for Christmas. It's a little bowling pin, it's
Oh
like one of those
yeah.
bowling pin things. All right. So let's use this as an example and go
Yeah.
through Forbes stuff. Okay. Should I get rid of this desk tool, this wonderful bowling thing that I never used, but it sits
Mm.
here all the time and it creates a real mess for the cats. Um, is it in line with my values?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like
I like
bowling?
bowling.
You have
Yeah,
great fond stories that align with bowling.
sure, I value bowling, but is this bowling? No, it's a
Mm. It's a keepsake from bowling.
sure. Um, is it made to last?
Ooh, that's
That's
debatable.
no. This is breakable plastic, man. Oh, that sounded like a storm.
Uh-oh. Storms
Good
are
thing I
coming.
good thing I brought the hammock in. Which is we're losing power. We're getting hit is 95 degrees. Like, what are we doing here? Um, what material was used to produce this?
A plastic, cheap plastic.
Brother, it's cheap plastic, right?
Is there such thing as premium plastic? That's
There's
besides the
probably
point.
not. Are the workers who made this
Oh,
paid
hell
fairly?
no. Hell no.
By buying this, do consumers support local and independent companies or multinationals?
Multinational all the way.
Oh, okay. I think I've made my decision. This is that's in the trash now. That's going away. Like it, and so that's the Forbes question. With conscious consumption, I have a lot of great links into the show notes. Check them out about how do you find out that the companies that you support engage in this thing. Are they paying their workers a livable wage? Are they making
Mhm.
things that are built to last? Are they doing good work for the environment, for the community? There's a few different links in there to check out, but we want to have fun on this podcast today, Lo, so I won't read off a bunch of them. I think one of them is called a B Corp. Have you heard about that?
The B Corps. Yeah.
Man, they talked about that on like everything. Is your company a B Corp? You want to explain what that is? Keeper of
Well,
knowledge?
well, yeah. So the B stands for benefit, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'll look
I
it up.
think so. But yeah, it's
It
really
is
that.
a benefit corporation,
Yeah.
a
So
for
it's
profit
really,
company. Yeah.
yeah, you're supposed to, as a B corporation, right? Benefit, you demonstrate like there's a true like impact or purpose to what you produce. And that doesn't just factor in your shareholders, right? Who in a
Yeah.
typical corporation, that's who you're servicing. Sure, you're selling goods to consumers, but really you're maximizing profit from your shareholders because those are the
Yeah.
investors in your business. Now, B Corp takes into account the stakeholders in your business, right? So those are your employees, the vendors, or other, people that you work with. Um, yeah, just your overall people, your community,
Yeah.
in addition to your customers. But in many cases, B Corps also service the environment at large, right? So they're
Yes,
thinking about
that's correct.
sustainability. So a B Corps is, yeah, like I said, it has a benefit to the public good, really.
Yes, specifically with environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. Do you know any B Corps?
Well, I know one that's sort of they're abandoning the B Corps label to their,
Who?
I think it's, but in a good way. I think it's Dr. Bronner's who makes soap.
Oh,
They're
okay.
exiting because they feel like the standards aren't high enough. Yeah, so
Man, I need to get
different
some of this.
that's a whole different story.
uh,
But yeah,
Patagonia is one. Ben and Jerry's, Warby Parker. Those are three that you've probably heard of if you're
wearing
listening.
Warby Parker glasses.
Come on, man. Look at you,
15-year customer over here.
Mr. The conscious consumer
I've
himself,
I've been with
ladies and
Warby
gentlemen.
Parker from since Nam.
That's whoa. Wow.
This is seeing
um,
napalm, baby. Well, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
there is a link I put in there, bcorporation.net, where you can find a B Corp. And I was typing in all sorts of stuff like who are B Corps in fast food and trying to just, you could type all that in.
Yeah, Patagonia is a great example of conscious
Yeah.
consumption because they sell stuff and you say, oh, they charge a lot, but they also offer to fix it, to fix your
Yeah.
stuff. They want what you buy, like if it's a fleece jacket or vest or something like that, they want that to be the only fleece jacket that you buy
Mm,
that you need. And so if it becomes broken, they could fix it, they could repair it. Or if you don't want it anymore, they could fix it and resell it to someone.
yeah. Um, I found a quote that I've been thinking about since we started talking about this. Do you know who the sociologist Joseph Cohen is?
Just go and tell me more.
He's from Queen's University, and every time during my research I was looking into degrowth and conscious consumption, there was a quote, and I kind of kept that in the back of my head while I was trying to understand all this and using critical thinking. America is a place where the luxuries are cheap and the necessities are expensive.
Ooh.
And I really thought about that because while we talk about inflation, and I have some stuff in the show notes about like why are the cost of some things going down, the cost of other things going up, and one of the things that I thought about with this was, why do what do we mean when we say cheap luxuries? I wanted to understand that, right? And what essentially they were talking about was how the price of TVs is drastically plummeting compared to used to. Like that used to be seen as a luxury. The price of iPhones based on what they're worth, these things can be worth so much more. This would be like, and kids, if you're Gen Z and you're listening to this, you're like, what do you mean iPhone's a necessity? But for old people like Los and I, this is not a necessity. I do not need this phone. In fact, if that went away tomorrow, my life would not be that much different. Some would argue it would be better.
Better off.
So
Yeah.
that is 100% a luxury, even though we all have one, right? But my issue is that while and that is weird too, right? Like everybody has an iPhone for the most part. Like
Yeah.
you can go into the homeless community and you're like, dang, they all got phones.
Yeah.
A lot of them do.
Yeah.
Um, but necessities are expensive: housing, healthcare, education, childcare, transportation, basic foods. These things are becoming astronomical in price, and they're the things that we need, and you would think we need to focus on that. So when we talk about degrowth, like, hey, it doesn't seem that as our economic output goes up, our necessities are not being taken care of. The price of those should go down in theory.
Absolutely. You know the average price of a car right now?
How much?
$50,000 in 2025.
Man.
Average cost of a home in the US? Let me let's consult here. That is $503,000.
Jesus.
That's crazy. But meanwhile, yeah, to your point around like an iPhone, right? When it first came out, it retailed for around $700-800 in 2007, which
Yeah.
adjusted for inflation would be somewhere around, I don't know, $1,000, $1,100. And that's about where it's at now for your high end, right? So like iPhone, the prices have like gone down adjusted for inflation, ironically. Well, at the
Yeah.
same time, sure they have more models and stuff, but like that just goes to show you it's like what are we prioritizing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting too, right? Because one of the issues that we have right now is these luxuries that we have we're using them as a distraction,
mhm.
and immediate gratification. A lot of the luxuries that we have are there for immediate gratification, but they're not helping us in the long term. And even though it's going to be very difficult to sell the world on degrowth. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
maybe we could scale back how productive we are economically so that we make sure our basic needs are being met. But right now, it seems like our priorities are distorted, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, in a
And
way.
it's a financial strain on the middle class mostly.
Well, and yeah, because when you think about degrowth, a lot of the fear around degrowth falls to deflation, right? So that means compared to inflation, where over time you see the cost of goods and services rise, right? Higher
Yeah,
prices. As in our current economy, we embrace a sense a sense of inflation, right? A degree of inflation. So the goal is usually around 2% because that means that prices are rising steadily, but still in line where people could afford it. People are more inclined to buy stuff because they know the prices will rise in the future versus deflation, meaning the cost of goods and services fall. And usually in that environment, because it's like an economy that's going through some struggles, that means that prices are falling, but people are always waiting for the prices to fall even lower. So they're not buying at all. And so that doesn't help anything because they just keep falling. And people are just like, oh, well, I'll buy it tomorrow. It's only going to go lower.
oh
And so
man.
it's just like this endless race to the bottom in which it's so hard to pick up on, make you know keep up and break even and let alone make a profit, right? So that's where the concern falls, is that if we deprioritize growth, then that means we're going to let prices fall precipitously.
Yeah,
And when will it pick up? Where will it end, right? So a lot of those who may be afraid of degrowth is like, okay, we need to set like a line
Yeah.
there of like when is enough. But I think it's just a matter of like, and I would see it as like, I think we'll never become, maybe it's unfortunate, right? But I don't think we'll ever not become self-interested. So I think
Mm,
there's nothing wrong with having like more Patagonias across different
yeah.
sectors, right? Sure, you may pay more for these things, but if they last longer and maybe they're able to establish more of a relationship with you,
Yeah.
they offer more services than goods, like maybe that's not a bad thing at all, right? You're still getting free market because there's just like a bunch of people will figure out ideas. If people aren't buying as often, how
Yeah.
do we make their dollar go further? Yeah, so I think there is a way there, but is it degrowth? Is it just like a different view on things? That's unclear, but I think it is worth it to at least take a step back and say, is this really working, right? Like
Mm,
sometimes in life, you're just going through some things and you keep hitting this wall. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, is this working for me? Like, why do I keep trying it? And I hate
yeah.
the saying, like, the the definition of insanity is
Oh,
doing
I
the
hate
same
that.
thing. Because
Yeah.
that's literally not the definition of insanity. Definition of insanity it just means mentally unwell. So
Yeah.
that's not, it doesn't mean doing the same. Stop saying that, people. Can you stop? Listen to me. You with the headphones.
I see it
Stop.
every, yeah. Oh
Don't
man.
say that. Don't say that.
Wow.
Whenever I hear people say that, I'm like, no, it does not mean that. Can we? Semantics matter in this case. But anyway,
And I hope that you come up with some options, right? It sounds like there's a few different action items, right? Is that we can either all get on the same page and say, let's agree that we will, um, you know, scale back our growth at the expense of we're gonna have better mental well being, right?
mhm,
Um, you can also consciously consume things, be a little bit better about buying things for longevity, buying things at places where they take care of their employees. I will tell you right now, man, I have drastically cut back how much people in my life, including myself, buy Starbucks because I wasn't
mhm,
like a big Starbucks consumer anyway. It's just when you go places, I go to local coffee chains, right? I become a regular at a really great local place with the wife and the dog, and just consciously consume and making sure that I'm spending my money at the places that I believe are taking good care of their employees and doing better in our community. I'm willing to pay an extra dollar or two for a cup of coffee if that's what it takes. But just, yeah, consciously consuming things and making sure that the price of necessities goes down. I was thinking about, you and I were talking about vibe coding, and there was a part of me that was thinking about, like, I need to vibe code something to bring down the cost of necessities. Like, what needs to
mhm.
happen here? And I think, man, instead of doing that, this might be it. Just getting on this degrowth movement, or at the very least, conscious consumption.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, yeah, I think if anything, because oftentimes on this show, right, we're thinking of people who are doing like people in organizations who are have clear solutions or have things in progress that are going. And now in this episode, we're really just musing and just exploring this idea, right? Which
Yeah,
could in itself be a solution. So I think what everyone should take out of this, if you're pro or against or just like in the I don't know category, just think about what's a different way to do what we're doing that could benefit more people, right?
yeah. Buy less,
And
choose well.
buy less, choose well,
That was Vivian Westward said that.
not more, but better. Like one of my
Yeah.
favorite designers, Dieter Rams, always used to say. I think he still does because he's still
And
alive.
you know, hopefully as social media is, gosh, I hope it's at the end of its run, Rose. One thing that you and I see a lot online on Instagram and TikTok is the illusion of affluence. So
Yeah.
you're starting to notice that people are bragging about what they have and those things are not necessities. They're, look at my designer handbag. I don't need this, but look, I got it. Look at these brand new shoes that I got with no creases in them. I see it all the time with high schoolers, right? And
Or influencers with like Lamborghini
yeah,
SUVs. Like I'm sick of seeing those.
I'm so rich that I have a bunch of stuff that I don't need, right?
Yeah.
That is the definition of affluence. But in today's society, I think it's kind of flipped because society's gotten so jacked up in the last 30 years that it's like, man, if you want to show me how rich you are, show me that you got 1,000 oranges in your kitchen. Like, show me that you're doing really well and you're living the high life because you can eat.
Yeah.
Show me that you're able to pay off your house. That would be impressed me. And a lot of those people who have designer handbags and shoes and all that stuff, they don't they don't have meals, Los. They don't have a place to live. They don't have access to quality healthcare. If you want to show me your affluence on Instagram, show me that you just got a $10,000 surgery.
And not just like injections in your face, which,
Yeah, that's
hey, no disrespect, your body, your choice. I truly believe in that, but like,
yeah,
you know, come on now. For the better. So anyway, just something for everyone to think about today. Just we offer resources in our show notes. So
yeah,
if you're on a run right now or if you're driving, yeah, don't need to pull over right now, but just save this,
yeah.
come back to the notes, check out those links and let us know what you think, right? Maybe in the reviews of the podcast because we don't social media is in progress right now, um but just something to think about, talk about with your friends, and yeah, just go from there. Bertram, got anything else?
Just you're just beautiful, man. You're just
Yeah.
so impressive.
No, everyone who's listening to us, they're
Don't
beautiful.
go
Thank
through
you.
all your old toys. If you're 8 year old listening to this, listen to Mary Conto. Go through all your toys. Get conscious consumption. You don't need all those toys
You don't need all of those, man.
except those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man. I'd give
Oh
anything to
man,
have all those back.
dude, I used to have the Power Rangers, which there's like a button in their back, and it's like
Yeah.
one is their
Oh
human head,
man,
and then it flips to their helmet.
you were affluent because I never had those. Man,
Oh
I would have
man,
given anything. I bet you had Fort Legorado too with the Legos. I never got that one either.
no,
I had to settle for the general store.
oh man, I did get Legos, but not
Man,
that. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to our show. We'll see you on, well, not, yeah, I'm this is Bertram. I'm Los. I'm not Bertram.
you can take
I'm,
that over. You could take that over if you want.
okay. That's Bertram. I'm Los. We're both of your hosts, and we'll not just see you on the other side, we'll see you on the upside. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.